I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
We're going to tell you how we felt about several new movies. Eric, today we're going to cover Reign of the Supermen, which is a new film that we did not see in the theater, though we could have, even though it's not a theatrical release. They did a Fathom Events where they showed both of those movies, Death of Superman and Reign of the Supermen, but I didn't like Death of Superman that much, and then I saw Reign of the Superman. God, and I was kind of glad that I did not go to the theater.
Or as I'm going to retitle it, Hillary's America.
And then, once again, I want to say thanks to all the subscribers we just lost.
That's not a criticism. It exists in a universe where Hillary became president. Like, that's...
that's true.
Yeah, no. Hillary Clinton is president in Reign of Superman.
Yeah, but it's silly. And then, later on in the program, we're going to talk about Lego Movie 2. We're going to talk about Alita Battle Angel, or as Eric wants to keep calling it, Battle Angel Alita. Eric is going to talk about Dragonball Super, and I'm going to see if I can remember anything about the worst movie I've seen so far this year, Serenity. Not to be confused with a good film called Serenity. Worse Than Glass by, like, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glass is still the worst movie I've seen.
But weirdly has many of the same problems. Yeah. That guy wishes he was Shyamalan. That's all I'm saying.
You know, a bunch of people called me out when I was at Glass. Probably the worst movie we've seen this year, and they were like, Eric, New Mutants and Dark Phoenix are coming out this year. I was like, oh yeah, you're
there's
right.
There's a good chance you see something worse. Yep. Quit saying New Mutants is coming out, okay? You don't know that that's actually
Did
happening.
you not hear about that? Something came out where it put the release date as like September.
Oh, we have more information since it could just drop on Hulu.
But it wasn't announced. It was like toys or something. Like there was some like offhanded thing that listed it as like September.
Surely New Mutants gets toys, right?
I don't remember the list. It was like one thing where like, we don't know if this is a mistake or like
figures.
old, but like it says the release date is this, and it's like maybe that's the streaming release date.
I'm just imagining the section in Target with the New Mutants toy. This like rated R horror film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I guess we don't know, like they've been restructuring and stuff. I guess there's no way to know what that movie is like when it comes out. Maybe it does get a PG-13. I don't know.
I want all 3 cuts of that movie. If you're gonna stream it, just stream all 3 cuts.
What do you say 3 cuts?
So we have the original cut, and then they have the director go back and reshoot it, and then I believe he left, and it's finished by someone else. I believe. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I looked at that news.
That always turns out really well.
It turns out amazing. You remember Fan Four Stick?
I do. I do remember that.
You remember that guy's making Dark Phoenix?
Yeah. I also remember that.
Also wrote Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. Which was my favorite movie that year.
You know what else he wrote? X-Men 3.
Yeah. Which kind of explains why it looks like it's just the plot from X-Men 3. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Eric, let's talk about Reign of the Supermen, a movie that is, at first glance, made just for me, and then not for me at all.
Is it for anyone?
I don't think it's for anybody. I don't know who that movie's for.
No, I'm not feeling
the first place where it just completely loses me, and I mean, I don't want to re-review Death of Superman, but like, it already started from the wrong place. The emphasis was on the wrong things. The Doomsday fight feels really obligatory, and it doesn't have the weight it should. It just feels like every monster fight you've ever seen in a superhero thing, and you wonder why you didn't just get it out of the way and not make a whole movie about it. And there was no reason to make this 2 movies. Like, it was a good idea, but
you could have opened this movie with the Doomsday fight,
and it would have been the same thing.
Done.
Yeah, that first movie ends up being like completely wasted.
Especially because the setting up of the 4 Supermen is like 1 scene apiece, and they're each like a minute long.
Yeah,
like, it's not like they really set them up.
No, they didn't. You don't need any of that, and like the Lex stuff doesn't help. You don't need that. Also, he's the worst Lex ever.
Yeah, I found out he's somebody, I can't remember what his name is, but he's super, and he was on The Office.
Yeah,
and I usually like him.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't cast him as Lex Luthor.
No, he's the worst Lex.
So the big mistake that I think we made with this whole thing in the first place was, like I said, emphasis in the wrong place. You don't end that first movie with like setting it up the way we set it up.
With
like
the Jesus scene where the rock is moved.
Yeah, that's not how you end that movie. Like I know they think they're doing like a cool cliffhanger thing, except like everybody knows what's going to happen. So like you end that on the like sad, dour world without Superman note, and you spend a little bit of time on it, or at least you set that. You end with the funeral, and then you're done. You know what I mean? you don't end with the bodies missing, and then the next movie you open with at least 10 or 15 minutes, I would think, of World Without Superman, and World Without a Superman, and before you say, oh, well, Cap, you're just a purist, you want it to be exactly like the comics, they talk about it in the film like it happened that way, and it didn't. We don't really have that, but the first real sign that we were in trouble, to me, was the way the four Supermen are introduced.
They're brought in. They each get like a 30-second scene where they stop a generic crime, and then they all fight each other.
Yeah, we just get one big giant fight with them, and then at least a couple of them get introduced again, more like they do in the comics.
Yeah, yeah.
Because remember, I said during that fight, I was like, why can't we have the scene where Lois is with Cyborg Superman on the roof, thinking maybe he's the real Superman? There's no mystery. Because it's too informed by the fact that it was a popular book that sold 1 million copies and everybody knows what happens. Yeah. It's too informed by that. They didn't play it straight. They didn't just tell that story.
They also said 4 is too many. Eradicator's gone for the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Like immediately.
We don't do anything cool
and
with him.
It's not the cool thing from the comics where that's the big reveal that Cyborg Superman is evil and like he messes him up and like we blow up a city and stuff. Like he just like gets hurt.
We don't get anything really from their perspectives much. I guess a little bit with Superboy. We're like we spend a little bit of time with him when we get a little bit of his worldview. He's probably the most effective of the 4.
He felt the closest to the comics, and I liked him the most. I thought he was mostly fun.
Yeah, and Steel is fine.
He's there.
He's just there.
What Steel always ends up being, and I hate it.
Yeah, and he's like he's the most human of them. Like, he's the one that most deserves to wear that suit.
And he's the one that's most genuinely inspired by Superman.
Right. I guess am I remembering this right? Because I didn't go back and watch it, because I don't like it. I mean, it's not great. The Death of Superman movie, do we get the save in that?
I'm pretty sure that's his scene.
Isn't that that's his one scene.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I guess that's fine. But yeah, I don't know, like I said, there's no mystery. Like, if you're, I mean, I guess this isn't really for kids, but like, let's say you're a kid or just an uninitiated person watching this movie, and you see Eradicator, I would think the first thing you would ask yourself is, why does he have the visor thing? They don't do that. There's nothing about how his vision, his supervision doesn't work right.
He has the visor because he has it in the comics.
Yeah, that's it. And it's that problem with all of them.
Yeah.
And then the most we're gonna spoil this. The most obnoxious thing it does is it makes the whole thing a conspiracy by Darkseid, and he sent Doomsday in the first place, and has orchestrated all of this with Cyborg Superman, who he is helping, I guess, because Cyborg Superman has a way to open a boom tube to Earth. I don't. Or what exactly was that whole thing?
And he brings the apocalypse technology.
I'm wrong about that, I'm sure, but I forget what exactly it was.
He's supposed to like tarnish Superman's image and like make people trust him.
Yeah.
And then like give them all superpowers. Remember, and then they become the robot people. They're gonna open the boom tube big enough for their like warships to come through. Remember where they all hold hands?
It was real. They get all kumbaya and then
and so then of course you're like, wait, so Cyborg Superman's just a bad guy? He's not the bad guy?
Yeah.
This is where we're taking this movie, but then. We're done with all the apocalypse stuff. We're done with that. Cyborg Superman is the bad guy.
And that whole thing felt like it was supposed to be a follow-up to War. Like they I'm right about that, right? Justice League War.
Yes,
that was the first big 52 thing after Flashpoint. They did exactly what I was worried they would do with this, which is they made too big of a deal out of their continuity with these movies.
It seems like between the first movie and this movie, maybe. If we go back to that first one, I will never go back to that first one. But maybe there's seeds of apocalypse stuff in that first one. But it feels like they got told that this is the last movie in this continuity. They're like, well, that has to feel like an ending to this.
Well, I mean, I guess the good news is that this might be the last movie in this continuity.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate that we had to waste Death of Superman with that, because we know that a couple of the next things that they're doing are direct adaptations of major comic works that aren't that aren't going to be in this continuity, so we're not going to be stuck with these versions of these characters. With a Superman with a voice that I don't like, and I mean, he was more likable in Death of Superman than he's ever been, but I don't care about him, I don't like him. And we still have that really crappy, quippy, but not funny at all, Justice League writing that was all over. I mean, it's been in all of these, but especially was all over Throne of Atlantis. It's just as bad in this. There's just not as much of it.
Mm-hmm.
We had to do the Wonder Woman with ice cream cone thing again.
Yep, and Cyborg Superman is sympathetic until he's not. Like it feels like we go out of our way to give him a sympathetic villain, but then he still has to be the bad guy. So Superman's like, but you're not so sympathetic.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, the Darkseid thing was really pointless. Because then he just takes over at the end and it's just revenge, revenge, revenge. And
yep, and
all right,
like I don't know, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
He doesn't. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I don't want to sound like I'm just saying it's bad because it's not what's in the book. As I always say, it's way less interesting. And I'm not saying that Death of Superman and Reign of the Supermen is a brilliant story. I realize that I am clouded by nostalgia on this, but lots of missed opportunities.
They didn't make it a better story.
You didn't.
They didn't improve on the material, certainly.
Yeah, they didn't, and they copped out on stuff. So like. One of the things that's fun about Cyborg Superman is he convinces everyone, or a lot of people, including the United States government, that he's Superman.
Yep.
And he starts working for the government. We don't do any of that stuff. We don't do any of the like pull the curtain back and see how this affects the larger world stuff. Like people worshiping certain of them as unto a god. That's all a missed opportunity.
Yep.
And if you're not going to make it about the world without a Superman, why are you making it? What's the point of it?
Yeah.
Because that was, and I'm saying this in a post-Superman Doomsday world, that was the point of doing this in the first place.
Was to do it right this time.
Superman Doomsday didn't do that stuff. It did it more than this did. Yep. Believe it or not.
Yep.
So I've been getting this question from people. Okay, Cap, you say you don't like this movie. Is it still better than Superman Doomsday? I don't think so.
Can I tell you why it's not?
I kind of don't think so.
Can I tell you?
And that's a low bar, but
definitively for me, why it's not? It's twice as long.
Well, yeah.
That's Superman, Reign of Superman. You asked me to watch one of them, or you asked me to watch those or Doomsday. I would pick Doomsday every time.
Yeah, but like Doomsday had a couple of near inspired ideas. First of all, I thought initially, because I love this material and I wanted to see it adapted, that it was really lame to take the 4 Supermen and turn it into one.
Mm-hmm.
He's more interesting than they are combined, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
The Superboy thing is better than the other 3, but weirdly, he's the clone, so it's the closest thing to the thing that they did in Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different thing, of course, because that whole idea, he's more like Eradicator than he is anything.
Mm-hmm.
Character wise.
Yeah.
And if Lex has to be behind stuff, he's the way he does it is more believable and more interesting in Doomsday. I like that Lex. I like that the Doomsday Lex is actually one of the better Lexes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Even if I don't necessarily need him to be mixed up in that material.
Lex Luthor in this is
but the Marster Lex is great. He's embarrassing. He's just a joke.
I don't remember if I saw in the video.
This movie does not take itself seriously. And I said that a little bit about Doomsday, where I was like, I don't feel like Bruce Timm wants to make this movie. I don't know why these guys made these movies.
Yep. Lex feels like the Monarch from Venture Bros. I said that in the first one. I don't know if I said it on video, but I said that in the first one. I'm like, he feels like the Monarch. Here, they write him like that. Like, I thought his voice sounded like that in the first one. They write him as like he's so comedic.
Yeah.
But
not funny.
I mean, they got Rainn Wilson to voice him, so I guess that's why he's comedic. Like, we got a funny guy, but like, I don't. Okay.
Like, he's sort of your comic relief.
But he's so integral to the plot. He shouldn't be here at all. Especially because we're not doing Matrix Supergirl, and that's fine. Like, that would be really convoluted.
But also because he's not behind everything. Like, it's a Darkseid thing.
Yeah. He doesn't need to. One of the things
he's there for Superboy, and he's there for the reveal of Superboy's DNA being his DNA, which you know is coming.
Which is a good idea and an idea I like, but it's also not in the original material.
We've used that in other places.
But it clears it up a little bit.
That's the Bizarro thing, isn't it?
No, that happens in Teen Titans. Jeff Johns does that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What? But is it also done in 52, or is it just Superman?
Young Justice also does it.
I know. But I'm trying to figure out what Bizarro is in 52 because he's also a clone.
Oh, I have no idea.
The B-Zero thing.
Oh, I never read any of that. Okay. He might be.
I think he might have Lex DNA too, but I can't remember. But Lex is mixed up in that stuff. I'm pretty sure. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I know there's other things that have done it, but I'm thinking that they might have done that with him because this is based partly on 52. This continuity is 52 continuity.
Okay.
So he might be Bizarro as much as he's Superboy, but I might be remembering that wrong. But also, I don't know what exactly that Superboy is either, and I know he's a clone, so I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, and they gave him his costume as best as they could. Because last movie I was like, oh, it's the stupid new 52 costume. I hate it. But no, they gave him his costume.
They sort of put the jacket on top of it, but it works.
That's how it always is.
No, I know, but they sort of put the jacket on top of the 52 costume. Like if you take the jacket off, it looks like the 52 costume. Like they didn't do the jeans and stuff. Like
no, but it's not the 50 because the 52 costume's all Tron-y, right?
Yeah, but it's still like a leotard, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But this looks like the costume to me. Like it's not the jeans, but the top when he takes it off, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how he looks.
Maybe he had something else on later on. I forget. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to mention about that? I just didn't enjoy it.
Waste of my time.
It was
a waste of their time to make this.
I don't know why they made it.
I don't know either.
It felt just representative again. They've done this before. It's the one they started with. If you're gonna do it again, you got to do it right.
Yeah. And if you're gonna make Split in two, like it has to be worth 2 movies. It has to be.
And again, I don't mean to say, I'm a broken record, I don't mean to say it has to be exactly like it was. When I say do it right, I just mean have a little bit of weight to it. Make me care when Superman dies, even though I know he's going to come back.
Mm. And play the 4 Supermen like a mystery. Like I don't feel like there's ever a point where anyone who watches this would be like, maybe one of them Superman.
Or where you're really that interested to know what they are.
Or not know that Cyborg Superman is the bad guy. Like I feel like they don't hide that at all.
Having seen this, you know what I would do? I would go crazy with it. I would mess with everybody's expectations. I would do what not in the same way, of course, but I would do what Gotham by Gaslight did. And it's not great. I have issues with it. But spoiler alert for Gotham by Gaslight. Nobody watching that movie expected Gordon to be the bad guy at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And
would you make it Eradicator?
That's not at all what the comic did. Gordon wasn't even really featured that hard. I would turn everything on its head, and I would have one of the 4 actually be Superman.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would have Cyborg Superman or Eradicator be the real Superman.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
Just turn it on its head and tell that story in a way we've never told it before. And tell it in such a way where people walk in and they go, okay, I know exactly what this is. And you go, oh, no, I don't. Mm-hmm. Tell a different story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and have it be true to like the heart and the ideas of that story, because there's good, fun, interesting things to do with it.
And don't duct tape Darkseid into it.
Yeah. Or if you're gonna do that, like go all the way with it. Like at least have him, at the very, very least, have the big climax be a Darkseid climax.
Also,
I mean, I didn't want that.
We didn't blow up a single city.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be Coast City.
But that's just
because
a
city.
We made Cyborg Superman's whole plan just boring mind control.
Yep.
Anyway, no, that was disappointing. Yep. And my standards were real low, man. Like, I didn't expect a lot from these. Oh, yeah.
Because it would have been awkward, because everyone goes to those, and then they'd be, like, clapping, and they'd be, like, thinking it's real good. No,
we would have been the only people in the theater.
Yeah, right.
For that one. Nobody else would have made it. Okay, well, I'm glad that's out of the way. Not recommending that so much.
No.
Eric, we have, a little bit later, a couple of features to do. Why don't we knock out our smaller things first? Okay. Do you want to talk about Dragon Ball Super?
Yes, I'll talk about Dragon Ball Super Broly, which I meant to talk about last time. I forgot to tell you to talk about, and then remember the next day I was like, oh yeah. So I saw Dragon Ball Super Broly in theaters. For everyone seeing this, that was probably about a month ago when it was released in theaters, but I did go see it in theaters.
Can I tell you an amusing anecdote about this that I had forgotten to tell you about?
Okay.
I went through a drive-thru one day. No joke. I don't know why this happened. I was at Taco Bell something. I went through a drive-thru. The guy at the drive-thru looks at me and he goes, "Did you see that Dragon Ball Super movie?" I've never seen this guy before. I don't know anything about him. I'm not wearing a Dragon Ball shirt. I don't think I was even, like, I was real inconspicuous. I don't know why he looked at me and just assumed I would go to that, but I was like, nope. And then he just starts rambling on about it. And I was like, all right. I was like, a friend of mine is probably going to see that. But anyway, I just could not believe that happened.
So, I went and saw this because I saw the previous 2 films in theaters, and I felt like I should go see this. It spoiled some of the Super for me because I'm in no way caught up on Super, but Dragon Ball's not about plot. And so I went and saw. All right, I'm going to do my level best to make this in any way intelligible to you.
But yeah, I'm not expecting to understand any of this.
Yeah, okay. So this is written by Akira Toriyama, who is the creator of Dragon.
Okay.
And he also wrote the previous 2 films and did story for the Super TV show, but didn't actually write any scripts or anything. This proves 100% like no one can write Dragon Ball like Akira Toriyama. He should always be there's something about, I mean, obviously it's his creation, but like he just gets it better than anybody else. So he takes Broly, who is a joke of a character. I mean, Broly kind of has a massive fan base, but like, I'm trying to think of it. It's like, I don't know. I'm trying not to hurt your feelings. It's like Venom. We're like everyone else is like, no, that's dumb. But people love Venom. Broly's kind of like that. And Broly's in 3 Dragon Ball movies. So
you can't hurt my feelings with Venom. Like, I know I don't have good reasons for loving Venom.
But Broly has this like rabid fan base of like people that just love Broly for no reason other than that he's the strongest. And all the Dragon Ball Z movies are not canon. Most anime movies are not canon.
Okay. So
they're
it's
just
like Power Rangers?
Yes.
It's like the 95
Yes.
Power Rangers movie?
Yes. And like they represent like whatever's happening right now, but different. So like
Oh, so just like that.
Yeah. Like but not like exactly well I guess I have news. Yes, exactly like that. Yeah. Okay. So but
Is it like a Goldar, but he looks slightly different in there?
Kind of.
That kind of
kind
thing?
of.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, they're fighting androids. Well, they're fighting 17, 18, and 19, or 16, 17, 18. Here's 11, 12, and 13. They're fighting 11, 12, and 13 in this movie. And, Cell's absorbing the androids to become perfect. 13 absorbs 11 and 12, becomes Super 13. Like, it's just the same thing. So, yeah. So, So the first 2 movies weren't like that because they're written by Akira Toriyama and they're actually.
I really wasn't expecting robot math.
Yeah, so they're actually canon. They're kind of not because the TV series redid them, but whatever. So this movie is canon. Like this movie matters, not like the other ones. So they're redoing Broly and making a canonical version of Broly, which is weird. And as far as I'm aware, it has never been done in the anime before, where they take a non-canonical character and make them a canonical character and completely re-envision them. And what Akira Toriyama did was he sat down and looked at Broly and then made Broly an interesting character. And it blew my mind. Because Broly is not an interesting character. So Broly's motivation in the original movie is that he's the strongest. He was born, it's like his power levels. Like you can like tell how strong people are, right? And like Broly's just born insanely strong. Like he's a baby. And like everyone's like, oh my god, he's so strong. And Broly's the strongest. Him and Goku, when they were babies, they were put next to each other, and Goku wouldn't stop crying, and it made Broly cry. And Broly's the strongest, so no one should make him cry. So from infanthood to adulthood, he carries a grudge against Goku, because Goku made him cry. That is Broly's motivation. We completely changed that, and like we just gave him this like tragic backstory, like, and some of that was like inherent in the material originally. We just didn't pull it forward, and like. He made Broly an interesting character, and it was amazing. We take things like Dragon Ball Minus, which is this awful like 7-page story that Toriyama came back and did. That was like backstory and just sucked. And he's like, I'm just gonna redo all that stuff. I'm gonna put it in more context so it doesn't suck. We get a lot of like flashback stuff to like expanding the Dragon Ball universe that like recontextualizes things in ways that I think are interesting. Where like we find out that Frieza took over. So like, Frieza's bad guy, and later you meet his dad, King Cold, and Frieza is like the ruler of the universe, kind of. And then you meet his dad, and you're like, well, if he has a dad, like, what does his dad do? We explain all that. He's just retired, and he shows up, and he's like, this is my son, Frieza. He's in charge now, and that makes Frieza like a petty child, and like that explains Frieza more, like. I can't really explain, but like we recontextualize certain things, and it's interesting. We also do dumb things like Captain Ginyu looks like Captain Ginyu, and he shouldn't because he constantly switches bodies. Here's the thing about this movie. So Dragon Ball movies are just excuses for fighting.
Yeah.
They don't have stories. Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball really doesn't have a story either. Manos once said about Dragon Ball, and I think it's maybe the most right thing he's ever said, maybe his entire life. It's maybe the most right thing. But Manos once said about Dragon Ball, most stories have, or like most action stories have fighting. In Dragon Ball Z, fighting is the stories, and that's what it is. Dragon Ball Z is a continuous stream of fights, and that's how you get to know the characters, actions they make, and like it's really interesting. Like I've never seen anything do the way it does, but like,
I mean, it sounds a little bit like how people I know who like wrestling discuss wrestling.
Sure. But like the way people fight like informs about their character, and like it's a whole thing. Like it's really like Dragon Ball Z is just about fighting. Dragon Ball is just
also
about fighting.
minutes and minutes of smack talk.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a lot like wrestling.
More of that in the anime than there is in the manga. But yes. So inherently, when you then go make a movie that's going to be between like 40 and 90 minutes long, it's just an excuse, especially when they're not continuities. It's just an excuse for a fight. You're just getting to a fight. So like when Battle of Gods happened, Battle of Gods was just an excuse for a fight. There's some really good comedy in Battle of Gods. It's a really fun movie, but like it's all just kind of an excuse for a fight. Resurrection F was like that too. We brought back Frieza so that he could fight. Most of that movie is just them fighting Frieza and Frieza's minions. This movie, I sit down, I start watching the movie. It's got like a story, and I was like. And and it just keeps going. Like we open with this flashback, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna do like a cool flashback, and we're gonna jump forward. And we just keep going with the flashback. We keep moving ahead in time, and it's just about Broly, and like you just learn about Broly, and you watch Broly, and like he's got like this sad, tragic backstory, and all of these things, and it just keeps going. And like I was like, oh man, this is like a real story. Like there's like it's like things. This isn't just gonna be one of those things like and then there's a fight. Like, he's telling a story. And then Frieza finds Broly and takes Broly to Earth. And then it's just a fight. It just becomes a Dragon Ball movie. Where I was like, but you were better than that. You were better than... And, like, the fight's weird because, like... So originally Broly's just, like, the strongest. In this, Broly just seems to rise to the level that he needs to be to do better than who he's fighting. So like, Goku fights him, and like they're kind of evenly matched. Like Broly's a little bit stronger, so Goku goes Super Saiyan, and then he gets a little bit stronger. Then Goku goes Super Saiyan 3, and he gets a little bit stronger. So Super Saiyan God, and he's a little bit stronger. But then he switches out with Vegeta, and the same thing happens again. Like his power drops like back down, and they just go through the same. Like Vegeta's like, okay, I'll be Super Saiyan. He's like, oh, I'm a bit stronger than you, and like all of the interesting character stuff and story threads and everything just kind of stopped for this fight, and I don't know how I feel about it, because it's what I thought I was walking into, but then 2/3 of the movie made me think I was getting something different. And I was like, oh, this is going to be like an interesting story, and like there's character stuff going on here. And then they start punching, and that's it, is they just fight. And then Goku's like, hey, you're not a bad guy, you just have a temper because your dad abuses you. Which is also in the original, we didn't do anything with. And like, and then Frieza is just like a cartoon villain where he's like, I'll get you next time, and then like leaves, and like I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, and I don't know what happened, because I got what I came for, but when I got here, you told me I was getting more than what I came for, but that kind of just became what I came for, and it feels like...
It sounds like it all happened on... It sounds like the more sophisticated stuff happened on accident.
It's possible, because Kira Toriyama like accidentally does things all the time, but
it sounds like he felt like he needed context that he didn't have before. And so he was like accidentally writing story, and then it turned into the normal thing he usually makes.
Yeah, but what's weird is like there's like some of the character stuff is really like, so like Broly walks around and he's got this big like leg cape, and someone tries to take it off of me. He's like no, you can't. You just, like he freaks out.
You really shouldn't mess with a man's leg cape.
And then later we find out it's not a leg cape, it's an ear. So him and his dad,
of course, that's way different.
So Broly is born, he's super powerful. And there's this legend about the Super Saiyan on the Saiyan planet. And King Vegeta is very angry that Broly's so powerful, because if anyone's going to become the legendary Super Saiyan, it's going to be his son Vegeta. His name is Vegeta, son's name is Vegeta, and the planet, its name is Vegeta. They live on planet Vegeta.
Which just, like, sounds like a cheese company.
It's a pun on vegetable. All names in Dragon Ball are food puns.
You told me that.
Yeah, Frieza, Freezer. And all of his minions, the name of things you might find in a freezer. Broly is a pun on broccoli. Dragon Ball Z is amazing. So
I want to ask you why you bothered with that stuff, but I've been making Morphin Mania 5 hours a week, so I probably can't ask that question.
I mean, it's fundamental, but also like it's good, especially when you read the original manga. Like it loses its way and it takes too long to do things, but like it's good.
Okay.
I mean, at least I think like it could just be that like I've been watching it since I was a kid and I'm gonna keep watching it. But like Power Rangers, I'll say this: it's better than Power Rangers.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean. The emotional highs of that show are far higher than anything I've ever seen in Power Rangers, and like maybe it's only emotional highs like in the middle of a fight, but like I don't know, and it's really funny. It's legitimately funny. But so Broly, so King Vegeta orders that this baby be murdered because he's too strong, and he's jealous. He says it's not because he's jealous. He says it's because he's dangerous, but it's because he's jealous. So Broly's dad steals him in the spaceship, and they go away to this planet. And he's like, "I'm gonna make you the single most powerful person in the universe, and like we're gonna go back, and we're gonna have a revenge, and you're gonna kill everybody." And so Broly tells this story about how when they're on that planet, there was like this big dragon thing. It's the only other thing that was alive there that was like in any way sentient, and like it became his friend. And like originally they were fighting, like then the fighting became like playing, and like. Because Broly's so strong, he could just play with this big dragon thing. And then his dad found out that he had a friend and cut its ear off, and he was like, and it was never the same. Like he didn't like attack me, but like we were never friends again. Like that dragon never came around me again. And like so he wears this ear around his like as like a civil his friend, and like it's interesting. And
that's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. But then we just get to the end, and it's just a fight. And what it really feels like is an in-between cool, because when this movie came out, we didn't know if there would be more Dragon Ball Super. We know now that there will be, and it now feels like we just kind of did this stuff so we can do more stuff. And like, it almost just feels like setup now, and that's disappointing because 2/3 of it were really interesting. And like, I didn't hate the fighting, but I was almost disappointed when we got there.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the art style. I'm not sure about it. It's a different art style, and people are like, oh my god, it looks like an anime movie. Look how amazing it is. And look at, they're conveying speed so well. And something about the lines are too thick. Like the actual like outlines of the characters are too thick. I don't know how I feel about it. But that's Dragon Ball Super Broly. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I don't know what my final verdict is. But it's hard to be critical of Dragon Ball in the first place.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Are you gonna even sign Flip?
Oh, I mean, I'm feeling it.
Okay.
Even if I hated the fighting, like 2/3 of that's really good, but I came for the fighting, so I can't complain that it gave me what I went there for. I don't know, but it's good. I like it.
Well, Eric,
Are you going to talk about a crazy movie?
Talk about a crazy movie. Now, I saw this like 3 weeks ago, and I was thinking about this right before we started filming, and I was like, oh, I don't know how much I'm going to remember about this. And stuff is starting to come back to me, but I think I have already tried to block this from my mind because I think some brain cells evaporated, and some of them have been replaced now, but not all of them. And I don't like Connor anymore. Connor and I are no longer friends because Connor made me go see this movie, and
He told you it was bad.
Connor sent me and he not only warned me, but it was the reason I went, right? But like after, I know it was a long time ago now, but like after Spawn Year and some of the other things that I subject myself to on a regular basis, Discovery and things like that, like I don't need this. No, I'm glad Connor alerted me to this movie because it's baffling and I've never seen anything quite like it. So this is a movie called Serenity. Not to be confused with the Joss Whedon film with the same name. However,
or the pilot of said TV show.
Right. However, the thing they have in common is that they're both called Serenity because it's the name of a boat.
Interesting.
Which is the last thing I would do if I was making a movie knowing that Serenity existed.
Maybe not genre people, maybe they'll know.
Is it a...
Oh, is it a science fiction film?
It sure is! You wouldn't know it just looking at posters and things. And you don't... This is a very difficult film to talk about. You don't know what the premise is until halfway through the film. And when you get to the premise, it's so wacky and weird and unbelievable that it's very difficult to get through the rest of the movie. You want to pause it to try to figure out what's happening, and if it makes any sense. And then when you get to the end, you realize that it doesn't, and it's terrible. So this is one of
spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning. It's terrible. This is one of the more pretentious things I've seen in a while. It is one of the it's one of the worst scripts I've seen in a long time. I don't want to say this is... I don't want to be hyperbolic and say this is the worst movie I've ever seen. It's probably up there.
Okay.
This...
But without the charm of something like The Room?
Charm...
Or does it have the, like, it's so bad, it's incredible and you have to see it charm?
I wouldn't call it charm, but I would say... I don't want to subject anybody to this.
Okay.
Because it is a hard, in some ways, a difficult movie to watch, and also it's really cynical and almost offensive at the end. Like, it will tick you off.
Okay.
Unless you're like me and you weren't taking it remotely seriously in the first place, and there's no way it can make you angry at that point. Because at that point you have you're having a feeling that you can't describe. So, I would say that this is a movie that has to be seen to be believed, and I cannot do it justice talking about it. Justice, which is, by the way, the name of a fish that eats people.
In this movie.
In this movie. Yep. So yes, I cannot do this movie.
It's the Moby Dick type story?
That's what I thought it was!
You would think that, wouldn't you?
You would think that's what it was. So, Connor sends me this message and he says, "You have to go see this movie, Serenity." And I was like, "I saw a poster for that. I don't know what that is." He said, "Don't look it up. Don't find out anything about it." He said, he said, "You have to go. You won't believe it got made." And I said, "That good, huh?" He goes, "Oh no! It's that bad, you gotta go." So I had things to do. I got in my car, and I went. It was the only night that week I had available where I could do anything, and I like I said, I should have been working, but I was like, no, it's the only night I can go anywhere. So I went and saw this movie, and yeah, I don't know how this movie got made. It is written, produced, and directed by a guy I've never heard of named Stephen Knight. And Stephen Knight is an English screenwriter and director, says Wikipedia, and he's done some independent stuff, and he did a movie starring Tom Hardy in 2014. Like, he's worked with people.
Hopefully no relation to Stephen Knight.
Hopefully. So, but when you watch this, you won't, like Connor said, you won't believe it got made, because it's the most amateurish script, and there's a lot of directing that's really amateurish too. There are places,
but the man's worked with Tom Hardy. Is there anyone in the movie that like anyone would know? Like other known actors?
Like almost everyone. So this is a film.
Who is it starring?
That watches like a kid wrote it either in high school or just after, but like one draft, and
left in all the typos.
Probably drunk. Starring Matthew McConaughey.
Oh my God!
Anne Hathaway, Diane Lane. Yeah. And now, I don't like Diane Lane, I have decided.
Okay.
I decided I don't like her.
Okay.
She keeps giving these, like, really cheesy performances, I think, and she's perfect for this movie. But yeah, it's like major actors, and Matthew McConaughey is insane in this. There are whole scenes where he's just screaming. He's just screaming, and he's freaking out. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what this movie's about, and then I'm gonna tell you what this movie's about.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna spoil the crap out of this movie. So, the movie opens, and Matthew McConaughey is this really unhappy fisherman. He gets on a boat and he takes people out to go hunt big game fish, right? And he's down on his luck, and he's at he's at his wit's end, and he doesn't have a lot of money, and he's having a hard time making rent and stuff, and he's upset because he lost his wife and his kid. So they left him, and she remarried to the biggest jerk on the planet.
Is that Matthew McConaughey?
Who's the no, Matthew McConaughey's the main guy.
Okay.
Like I said, and he's at some point his wife comes back. Oh, and also there are other people in this movie that I know that I recognized. His sidekick on his boat is Papa Midnight from Constantine.
Oh, cool. He's also in Guardians.
He's in there? Oh, yeah, he is. That's right. Ooh. Yeah, he's great. I love that accent he does. Yeah. He's great. Well, actually, maybe, because, he has a thick accent. I don't know if he's even putting on an accent in Guardians. I think he's still just doing his accent. I just thought of that. But he doesn't say a lot in that. So I was like, oh, yeah, he's putting on it. But I didn't even put together that's who that is. That is who that is. Yeah. Ooh. Anyway, so, whatever. It's not here nor there. So, Matthew McConaughey's wife shows up, and she says that her husband is coming, and I don't remember why he's not with her. I think it's just this convenient thing so that they can have a conversation. He shows up a few hours later to this island where he is. So it's this island with a lighthouse, and it looks a lot like Aquaman, and it's got that kind of flavor. And it's not shot as well, but it's got that kind of flavor. And she shows up and she tells Matthew McConaughey that she wants that her husband is gonna wanna get on the boat and go fishing, and she wants him. This is against the rules, but she wants him to take that guy out. Oh, and rules. Just wait. She wants him to take her husband out on the water, and she will pay him $10 million to murder him. Because he's horrible, and he beats her, and there's a scene where this is Anne Hathaway, and there's a scene where you see all of her scars, and she's worried about her son, and of course that's Matthew McConaughey's son, and throughout this there's this sense that Matthew McConaughey has been getting signals, messages somehow from his son through his computer. And we don't know what that's about yet. And so, Matthew McConaughey doesn't want to do it. He takes the guy out once just so that we can see how completely awful he is. He's this total womanizer, and he keeps saying really horrible, lewd things about his wife. And he gets really drunk. And so later on, Matthew McConaughey, when he decides that he's actually finally going to kill this guy, decides that he's going to get him really super wasted, and then he's going to hand him the fishing rod, and when the big fish comes, and he's going to let the big fish him into the water. He's obsessed with catching this big giant fish, and we don't know why. And by the end of the movie, the reason is preposterous, because it's kind of programmed into him. So here's what's actually going on. It's like a weird Matrix kind of thing, where none of this is actually real, and it's all a computer program that his kid made.
Mm-hmm.
And so
did he stick his dad in a program?
No.
Okay.
The dad is dead.
Of course he did.
And the kid made up the program, and they keep talking about it like it's a video game, but it doesn't resemble anything video games do. And it's this is one of the problems that it shares with Glass, where it's somebody writing about a medium they know nothing about. So like all the stuff you complain about with comics, you can complain about with video games, and so the idea this is so hard to talk. It's bizarre. So the idea is that the kid needs the dad to Matthew McConaughey to kill his stepdad in the program and somehow or rather that gives the kid like permission or something to do it in real life. So it's breaking the rules in the game for him to do that, but he finally gets himself to a place where he can. We keep, by the way, talking about Matthew McConaughey's character like he's inherently a good person, but he's not, because there's a scene where he practically straight up rapes Anne Hathaway. And by the way, this is like a really dark adult film, and it has no business being as dark and rough as it is.
So, is Anne Hathaway his mom and the other guy is his stepfather?
Yes.
And so, if his dad's a good person, and he can run a simulation where his dad gets to the point where he would murder this guy, that means that this kid can murder this guy because his dad would have.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
the whole idea. And then at the end of the movie, he gets up and he goes and kills the stepdad.
Wow.
And then gets back on the computer and like lives with his dad happily ever after. Now the thing is, the dad is just a computer program and doesn't have the like sentient consciousness of the actual dad or anything. It's not a Jarrell situation. So the protagonist of the film, and I think the movie is doing this pretentious thing where it wants to like at the end of the day backdoor be a story about this kid. The protagonist of the movie all the way through continues to be what ends up being a computer program that I can't decide how sentient it is. Because most of the other characters in the program were told work along a certain parameters, right? But it's really pick and choosy about that. Because it's like that bad guy in 24 thing where none of them seem to do that until we know that's what's going on, and then suddenly they all act like that. And also, Matthew McConaughey is given this obsession with the fish that comes from no place at all. It's just built into him. It's wired in. Once you do that, I don't know how much I can trust that he has any facilities of his own. Right? And the whole fish named Justice thing makes no sense at all because, it's not about killing the fish, it's about killing the stepdad.
Is the fish justice?
Uh-huh.
Justice for the stepdad?
Yeah, but he could have killed him any number of ways. So he
does it with the fish because he programmed him to be obsessed with the fish?
I guess.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You're actually making more sense of it having not seen it, which is funny. But I guess that's the idea.
Okay.
It's a really dumb premise.
No, it sounds
right?
It sounds awful.
It's awful. And it thinks it's real clever. But like I'm not even talking about like pacing issues and dialogue stuff and weird cinematography, very strange cinematography. Anyway, it's the weirdest and worst thing I've seen this year. It's absolutely terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, I cannot do that justice, but yeah, it's really bad.
I do kind of want to watch it now.
Well, I'm not gonna watch it again, but
Sure.
I'll have a chat with you after you do if you ever
Sure.
watch that. Okay, so Eric, we've still got to talk about Lego Movie 2 and Alita. So,
movie.
since we are already close to an hour, I say we go ahead and adjourn for now and do we'll go ahead and split this one up into 3, 2. Why not?
Sure.
Or I guess into 2, and then we're gonna have more movies later.
Yeah.
With and I don't know that we can do that in one video either. So just a lot of how we felt about.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, folks. If you're watching the playlist, just keep it running. And part 2 of new movies coming up in just a minute. I am Captain Logan.
All right.
Thanks for watching, guys.